So let's start this meeting. Welcome everybody. And this is a Dialogic meeting, a format that we would like to launch. In reality, this is a format. Can you hear us? Yes. Okay, this is a format that we would like to launch because we are convinced that dialogue is our method and it's important in itself. So we have an experience before because this TG12 of the International Sociological Association is born from a network, an international network of sociologists and researchers and social workers all around the world, which was called Social One. And we're accustomed to do this kind of dialogical meetings. That means a meeting with a person or a group talking about their ideas connected to our topic. And our specific topic now is social love. And now we are very proud of being a part of the International Sociological Association, which is the association of sociologists all around the world. And we have this new thematic group called Social Love and Solidarity, which is focused on the public dimension of love. Love now has been privatized in intimate relations, but we are convinced that it is a specific form of social cohesion and very powerful for groups, for little and big groups, institutions, and also among the states. It could be very powerful. And so now in these dialogic meetings, we are very proud to have here our host speaker, who is a Wonho Jang professor. And he's coming from Korea, but let me, before introducing him, thank very much Sari Anafi, who is the former president of the International Sociological Association, who is a very big friend of us, and as well we can say that he's our supporter now. We can say freely that he's our supporter because, especially because he experiences the importance of social love among different people and cultures, and especially among the states. Maybe I can leave him a little word only to give us the welcome, and then I will introduce you our host speaker. Sari.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sylvia. Just to say that on behalf of the International Sociological Association, because it is under my tenure, was approved the thematic group Social Love and Solidarity. I would say we are so delighted that really of having this thematic group, because it's so timely and needy in this crazy mad time where I would say where genocide and other extreme violence is waged not only in my region in the Middle East, but also worldwide. So this is very important methodology and theory of looking to the reality through the lens of social love. I will stop here.
So thank you very much, Sari, for your special welcoming. And it was not prepared, but thank you very much because it's very important, your presence here. I can say that here we have other members of our TG, number 12 of the ISA, Social Love and Solidarity. We are in Rome now with 3 members, and then we will have as well Jel Malaga, who is in Kenya now. And let me now introduce our keynote speaker of today, Professor Wonho Jang. He is a professor of urban sociology at the University of Seoul. He received his BA in sociology from Seoul National University and his PhD in sociology from University of Chicago. And his teaching and research areas include urban sociology, political sociology, and pop culture studies. He studied urban policies and cultures as a visiting scholar at Cal University, Rikko University in Japan, and Fudan University in China. He is now professor at the Department of Urban Sociology, director of the Center of Local Culture and Social Empathy at the University of Seoul. And now he serves as president of the Korean Social Science Research Council. He's also the former president of the Association of Sociologists in Korea. And at least we can say that he will host the next ISA Congress, World Congress of Sociology, which will be in Gwangju in 2027. So he's very welcome, and thank you very much for being here. I think it's very important, his new field of work, which is focused on social empathy. So we are in your hands. I'll give you the floor only to explore this concept and his powerful impact on the social level. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm very happy and honored to meet you all, guys, especially when I heard the term of social love. I was a little bit surprised that the term can be sociologically interpreted and defined and used for the academic research. And I was happy that the term is very similar to social empathy that I have conducted some researches during the past 5 to 10 years. The reason why I decided to study social empathy is what Sari said. This is a period of abnormal period, I think, not only in social terms, but also in political terms or international relation terms. You know, we have a kind of abnormal situations. In Korea, the young people thinking that they're living by themselves. They think that there's no solidarity. They have to work or study very hard to become competitive in the competition without any consideration of others. So kind of zero sum or winner takes all competitions. So I thought it is very necessary to take the concept of some kind of a solidarity among people into the sociological analysis, and then I found that the empathy is kind of a relevant term for me to proceed. And there is two types of empathy. One is interpersonal empathy. I'd like to show you that in my PPT presentation later. But I'm more interested in the social empathy, which is kind of empathy among their own groups or empathy among other social groups. So social empathy is different from the interpersonal empathy, which is oriented to group of people. And I especially think that is important because in Korea, there's a rising conflict among different gender, among different generation. Not only in addition to the different stratifications, different social class. These days, conflict among different gender and generation are more kind of sharper. I mean, sharper than the conflict between different social class, I guess. So that's the reason I decided to study social empathy. Before that, I was conducting a research about urban sociology. Especially, I have done some urban sociological work using the term of urban scene. It is kind of socializing of scene, and I'm a member of RCO3, Community Research Committee, and also I'm a board member of that RC, and my advisor, whose name is Terry Clark in University of Chicago, he defined and he developed the term of urban scene, and we are having a kind of international, research group regarding the urban scene, and the Chinese research group are very strong these days, and there are more than 100 researchers in China working on sociology of scene, and the sociology scene is kind of introduced to the policy areas too. So the Chinese national government and some local governments adopt the concept of urban scene to make a program for the development of urban areas or development of local areas. So that was my research interest before I conducted research about social empathy. And before I have conducted research about a Korean wave. I don't know whether you are familiar with the term of the Korean wave. It is the phenomenon of the Korean cultural contents uh, spread to other countries worldwide. I mean, especially the K-pop and Korean drama or Korean cinema. I don't know whether you are familiar with the cinema titled Parasite, which won a Grand Prix in Cannes Festival, or the Hollywood Oscar, the urban, the awards. And some Korean dramas also are having popularity, especially on OTT platforms such as Netflix. And I don't know whether you have watched the Korean drama titled Squid Game. Squid Game is until now the number one drama viewed on Netflix. And out of 100 TV series in these days, more than 10 Korean dramas are listed. So that's another evidence that Korean cultural content is spread among all around the world. Also K-pop. Some of the group of K-pop are very popular, such as BTS. Uh, maybe you don't know the BTS, but BTS or the Blackpink or some other groups are known worldwide. So that's the Korean wave. So the reason why I'm telling you these three areas of my research is I'd like to combine the research in terms of social empathy. That's why I'm telling you my previous researches. And can I share my file with you? I don't know if I can. Maybe
Yes, you can.
maybe. Okay. So basically, the main theme of my presentation today is linking the Korean wave and social empathy, but I'm also interested in linking the urban scene, which is a kind of place of having a common cultural taste, and the common cultural taste was consumed by not only the resident, but the business people there, and visitor tourists there. So that's also kind of can be considered in terms of social empathy, but that would be the topic, the next stage. But these days I'm working on the linking the Korean wave and social empathy. I'll first start with guys. Can you watch the PPT?
Yes, we can, but if it's possible, you can choose the presentation mode. The presentation, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe if I do that, maybe it's just a minute.
Bigger, if it's possible, bigger. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I did. Can you watch it?
Yes, we can, but maybe that one I cannot read it. But however, maybe Jill, can you help us to tell him which
yeah,
button
the
is better?
slideshow mode. If you do it in slideshow.
Yeah, I did it, but maybe I'll do another way. Okay, let's do make it another way. Just a minute. Let's see. Just a minute, guys. Hmm. Just a minute. Okay.
It's the same. I think that if you do in the way you were doing before, it works because only choosing, yeah.
How about this
Yeah.
way? Is it working?
Yes, perfect. Yes, it's
Okay,
working.
good. Okay.
It's perfect now.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the topic is the relationship between Korean Wave and social empathy. So I have to tell you that okay. From here, as I told you, Korean Wave is the popularity of Korean cultural contest in the world. This shows, even though it's a little bit outdated map, this shows the map. I mean, countries importing the Korean drama. This was made before the pandemic, so it doesn't include the people of consuming the Korean drama. On the Netflix OTT platform. But anyway, more than 60 countries, including some African countries such as Botswana and Zimbabwe, also imported Korean drama. So this shows some popularity of Korean drama in the world. And how about and this is the current situation. As I told you, around more than 10 Korean dramas are listed on the top 100 Netflix drama viewing in terms of viewing times. So Squid Game is number one. Extraordinary Attorney Woo Young-woo, I don't know whether you're familiar with the drama, is number two. So all other Korean dramas are kind of well consumed by the audiences in the world. What about the K-pop? K-pop, this is the number of video views by the in the YouTube, and as you can see, BTS has been viewed in 18 billion times. So it's a kind of huge time. So BTS, I, Blackpink, they are EXO, Big Bang, they're kind of a very popular K-pop, artists in the world. Okay, what about the Billboard Hot 100 K-pop? So this is the number of the titles of the songs sung by Korean K-pop singers, and as you can see, especially from 2012, and it's when the BTS won the number one by the K-pop song Dynamite. And there are a lot of Korean songs are listed on the Billboard Hot 100. This also shows the popularity of K-pop. Okay, so given that the K-pop popularity has increased, then I'd like to show the relationship between Korean waves with the social empathy. First of all, I'd like to define the concept of social empathy. To do so, we have to distinguish the social empathy from sympathy. Of course, there are a lot of similarities between the concept sympathy and empathy, but to make it more clearly, we need to distinguish it. And sympathy, as you say, sim means common. same, and pathy means pathos. So it's a kind of a feeling together, something like that meaning. But empathy is a little bit different. Elizabeth Siegel, who is a social welfare scholar, who has conducted a lot of work about the social empathy, and actually our research center has a kind of collaboration with Siegel too. And she said empathy is not only physiological or the psychological things, but the cognitive things. So and actually, the concept of empathy, I think, is the combination of M. M means kind of into the people's area, and pathos. Pathos means pathos. So empathy is trying to go into the other's position, something like that. So some common definition of empathy includes knowing another person's internal state, including his or her thought and feelings, or adopting a posture matching the neural response of an observed other, coming to feel as another feels, intuitive projecting oneself into another situation. This is important. Imagining how one would think and feel in other place and others' place. So I usually telling this way. I'm usually telling this way. Okay, if you heard the news and someone lost his children, I mean one of his child, I mean his child, and it's really sad because I have a children too. So I feel the same feeling that the loss of the person. This is a sympathy, feeling the same loss. But empathy is a little bit different. Empathy means, okay, he or she has only one child, and I have three children. So the losing of one child, the only child is different from losing of one, of course, maybe not, but different from losing one out of three children. So empathy is kind of going to his or his position, who are having only one child and losing his child. This is similar to empathy. That's the story I tried to explain the difference between sympathy and empathy. So empathy, I can say that is the act of perceiving, understanding, experiencing, and responding in terms of action, the emotional state and ideas of other persons. So empathy entails the feeling and thinking and also acting. That's the kind of concept of empathy. Okay, then. So as I told you, there's a difference between interpersonal empathy and social empathy. So social empathy is kind of ability to understand people from different groups by perceiving, understanding, and experiencing their life situations. So maybe the empathy includes some kind of understanding and perceiving and acting toward other groups, such as the groups between the kind of conservative and liberal parties, the group between the different races, the group between the different nationalities. That can be a topic of the social empathy. So this is what Siegel says. For social empathy, we first develop the skill of interpersonal empathy, and then we need to have some kind of thinking or understanding of in terms of contextual understanding, which means know the history of other groups and know the systematic barriers of the other groups. That's the contextual understanding. The second one is a macro perspective taking, is to taking their own group in a kind of a more objective way. So we usually think that our group is kind of a subjective way, and our group is kind of a absolutely good group, something like that. And that's not a kind of a macro perspective. To take the macro perspective, we have to objectify our groups and locate our group in terms of more comprehensive or more general settings. So that's the necessary step for the social empathy. But this is what Elizabeth Seeger argued. So this is her kind of diagram. So these kind of things are necessary: affective response, affective mentalizing, self-other awareness, perspective taking, emotion regulation. This is important factor to develop interpersonal empathy, plus macro perspective taking and context understanding of systemic barriers. Then we can have social empathy. This is what Siegel develops. But I think this is also proposed by Siegel, but I think this is very important. To build social empathy, we need to first get exposed to other groups, and we need to get a kind of experiences with the other groups. So that is, I think, very important. And to develop the social empathy, among different social groups, they have to get exposed to other groups and they have to get the similar experiences with other groups. And Korean wave, Hallyu is the Korean term of the Korean wave. Hallyu fandom, which has dramatically increased since 2000. Hallyu fandom is kind of an example of developing exposure and experiences together based on specific characteristics of Korean wave, especially the K-pop. This shows the increased number of Hallyu fandom from 2012 to 2021. As you can see, Asian fandoms are still dominating, but especially from Europe or Africa, Middle East, the fandom has also increased. So Hallyu fandom, these days, fandom means they are very active fans, not just passive recipients or consumer of the cultural contents. They're active. What I mean active is they try to communicate with the artists or groups, or they try to share the ideas with other fans. That kind of a phenomena we can usually say when you say the fandom. Okay, so Hallyu fandom has increased a lot. Okay, this is the story about I don't know whether it is good or not about this story, but when I visited Jerusalem, I met these three people. This lady was a professor in Germany who is from Iran. This lady was a student, Jewish student in University of Jerusalem, Hebrew University Jerusalem. This lady was a Palestine student of University of Hebrew Jerusalem. I met them in the conference of Korean Wave in Jerusalem, and what she said was very kind of impressive to me at the time. She told me that she never talked with Jewish people when she was, she was raised in the Palestine area in Jerusalem. There's kind of a very different segregated area between Jewish and Palestinian people, and so he never talked to the Jewish. So she doesn't, has any understanding of what the Jewish is thinking. And when she entered the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, she met many students, but many Jewish students, but she still didn't talk with Jewish students. But after visiting the K-pop fandom meeting in the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, he met many Jewish friends, and while talking with them, he found out the similarities in consuming the K-pop and in dancing. The K-pop is a little bit different genre of the ordinary pop music. in terms of its emphasis on dancing. Choreography is very important. And so we call that a kind of we call that we can develop kinesthetic empathy. Kinesthetic means the motion empathy. So K-pop is especially good to experience to have the same experiences. So she had a kind of a kinesthetic emphasis, and she has some some kind of a common feelings and common solidarity while dancing together. So she thought she said to me she now has a lot of Jewish friends, and actually this was reported in BBC online in news too, and also in Korean newspaper too. So I thought that that is the very the kind of a good point, or in some way the purpose of the cultural contents, which is developing a kind of a cultural community worldwide. In political sense, in economic sense, we have a kind of a zero-sum game, but in cultural sense, we can develop solidarity. At the time, that was I was arguing, but these days when I was conducting a research about the social empathy, I'm now arguing that the Korean wave could be a kind of a source or tool or the common cultural basis to develop social empathy. This happened in 2012 when they was protesting that the K-pop concert will be held only one night in Paris, but they argued that they have to get another night of concert. So they were proposing this kind of we call that mob, some kind of a mob dancing, something like that. And this is also very important in consuming Korean web. When you visit many countries, they are practicing this dancing together. So flash mob, what I should say, flash mob, and I think this is a kind of example of common experiences. And I try to say this is a kind of a factor to develop kinesthetic empathy among fandom. So I conducted a research. Okay, this I have to say. Okay, so increased fandom, they have exposure to different people, but when they're consuming the Korean wave, they have kinesthetic empathy, and this also leads to a kind of common experiences, and they build social empathy. So this is kind of logic that I try to develop when I try to link the Korean wave with the social empathy among different nations, among different group of different nations. So I conducted a research about the feelings of Japanese K-pop fans. I don't know whether you're familiar with the political, conflict between Korea and Japan based on the historical, experiences. When Japan colonialized Korea, Japanese imperialism colonized Korea. Korea tried to try to solve the problem, especially the problem of the sex slaves or the problem of the territories. And so the Korean government and Japanese government are always having conflict in terms of the kind of historical facts. Those historical facts leads to a kind of political conflict. But in terms of cultural sector, the story is totally different. Japanese people, they love Korean dramas these days, Korean dramas and K-pop. And there is a survey maybe 1 month ago asking Japanese students, university students, okay, if you want to go to other country for a quick exchange students, quick means one semester or 1 year, and what country do you want to go? And the number one country is strikingly Korea. and the main reason for that is they love Korean wave. They love cultural contents of Korea. So I conducted the research in 2020, and there was a pandemic period. So we all had a mask when I conducted research. And so asking that, and that period was a kind of a peak of the conflict between Korea and Japan in terms of the, sex of slaves or other territorial problems. And the Japanese students replied that, okay, I don't know about the historical things. Maybe the Korea is correct or the Japan might be correct. That's what they are responding. But they respond that, but I think the Japanese newspapers and Japanese government, I don't just accept what they are saying is correct. Because to me, the Korean cultural content was so good, and I try to, I have decided to learn Korea more and more to get more balanced knowledge. So they didn't passively accept what the Japanese government or Japanese newspapers was saying, but they tried to find out some other sources of information, not only about the Korean way, but about the political and cultural conflict, political and historical conflicts too. And then they try to get more balanced position about Korea and Japan's relationship. So this is important, to develop a kind of a social empathy. I think this kind of a balanced position, especially when we develop social empathy against against the group which is kind of a opposite to our group, such as the politically opposite or nationally opposite or racially opposite group. We have to it is important to get a kind of a position to get balanced ideas and information. So I thought that it could be a good starting point for the Japanese consumer of K-pop and Korean wave to have some kind of feeling of social empathy. So that is the first ideas about linking the Korean wave with social empathy. And the second idea is a kind of a theoretical thing, which is now my research team is developing. It's the female universalism in Korean cultural contents. Female universalism is a term coined for the global Hallyu phenomena because among the Hallyu fans, 90% are female, and the female fans, especially, of course, if they're a boy band, maybe majority of the fans could be female. But as for the girl band, for Hallyu girl band, the majority of the fans are also female. So that makes some kind of make us some kind of try to think and develop some kind of explanation about that. So we conducted research about the contents of the Korean drama and the lyric of K-pop and the writer of the Korean dramas. And we found out that more than 90% of the writer of the most important Korean dramas are all female, which is totally different from what the Western drama TV series are doing. I calculate the percentage of top Netflix 100 Korean and 100 TV series dramas to look for the writers of the dramas for the Western, and the Korean dramas and the other dramas. And Korean drama, more than 80% of the writers are female, whereas the Western or the other dramas, 65% are male. So we have to think that why the Korean dramas were dominantly written by the female writer, and we developed a kind of which is which will require a long time to explain that. We developed kind of a theory about in the country where the patriarchalism based on some kind of religious things like Confucianism in Korea, or or some other factors where the patriarchalism is so dominant, and a female used to get have some kind of a melancholia, which is argued by Freud or Judith Butler. And the more creative way to solve the problem of gender melancholia is to show a kind of a new way of looking at the society, or is to fight for the new society, which the feminist movement, the feminism are currently doing. But in Korea, the writers are trying to show their ideas in the dramas. That's what we have thought. So in the Korean dramas, we compare that female universalism with the white male universalism. Actually, the universalism is a concept to explain the Christian universalism, or to explain the nation state universalism, or to explain the modernism universalism, something like that. But in cultural contents, especially in the dramas and in the movies, there's a white male universalism, and where the white males are usually perform the role of the who are kind of rational and who have a good manners, philanthropy, and justice, something like that. And by doing so, they are making people a kind of a third party or the other, the non-white males or females, and Catholic or Jews, because most of them are Protestant, males. So that's the white male universalism, and the representative figure, Sherlock Holmes, James Bond, Kingsman, Superman, Batman, Indiana Jones are kind of representative figures. But in Korean dramas, especially dramas, the females are moral, they are committed to success, they have good dreams, they are rational as well as very empathetic, and they pursue gender justice and social justice as well. And in some case they pursue social transformation for women. That's the main messages. And there's a Woo Young-woo or Blackpink or Daejangum. They are kind of a representative figure for the female universalism. And I gathered a lot of data about the female universalism, is at least in Korean cultural contents, dramas and K-pop too. In terms of K-pop, usually, K-pop is a group performances. The artists are composed of maybe from Blackpink four to 13 or 17. I don't know if you are familiar with the group 17. There are 13 members. There's the group members, and usually, regarding the group, boy group and girl group, boy groups are dominating in the world pop music market. But these days, in among K-pop, we call them fourth generation of K-pop. The most famous groups are all girl groups. I don't know whether you're familiar with the New Jeans or the Le Seraphim or IVE. They are very popular group. Maybe your face don't show you saying that you're not so much familiar with the groups. But anyway, especially the first generation is those generation who made debut stage after the pandemic, and most of them are girl groups. So we are arguing, and their lyric is almost oriented toward a kind of initiative by the female. That's the main ideas. So that kind of female universalism is a kind of a dominant message by the Korean wave. And we are conducting a research that this is related with the empathy, showing the similar, maybe it's not experiences, but I think it could be interpreted experiences that those who are having melancholia based on their social context or social histories, maybe even in the USA too, when Hillary Clinton lost to Trump, she said, "Oh, I still cannot break the ceiling, the glass ceiling." That's still prevalent in all around the world, even in the USA. Maybe maybe except for some Scandinavian countries, I guess. But based on the capitalist development, this kind of a male dominance is permanent, and most of the females are having implicitly or explicitly, this kind of melancholias, and they experience the same melancholia. And when they receive the messages from the Korean wave in terms of female universalism, they, feel some kind of similarities and solidarity, which could be related with social empathy. And I have some kind of evidences about that kind of a social empathy, having the female universalism among Hallyu fans. Okay, so this is the references. So my ideas about linking Korean wave and social empathy is first the kinesthetic empathy, and secondly the term of female universalism. And I will try to conduct a research about the different nationalities' empathy for each other while consuming Korean wave, feeling kinesthetic empathy or feeling the same melancholia or same feeling of the solving that kind of melancholia, something like that. So that is the topic that I'm gonna pursue from now on. But before I close, I'm usually saying that the World Congress of Sociology 2027 in Gwangju, it's gonna be from July 4 to July 10 in 2027. And Gwangju, I don't know whether you're familiar. Today is the Gwangju, the day when the Gwangju Democratic Movement has begun in 1980, May 18 movement. We are calling that. So Gwangju is a sacred land of democratization in Korea, and they are trying to send a message about the democracy and human rights and the hope for the future. And except for that, Gwangju is a kind of UNESCO's triple crown city. So UNESCO Media Arts City and UNESCO's Global Geopark City, and also a Memory of the World Registers, especially the Gwangju Democratic Movement. And in addition to that, Gwangju is really, really good place to have a very delicious food. Gwangju is the city where the most delicious Korean food are sold. So that's it. So guys, please just forget my presentation of the social empathy, but do not forget the Gwangju 2027 World Congress. Somebody has, especially the European people, have difficulty in pronouncing the Gwangju. So just Sylvia called my last name is Yang, so they are usually pronouncing J as Y. So my name is Jang, and Jang, or whatever you want to say, Jang. And this is also Gwangju, not Gwangju. Okay, so please remember that this is Gwangju. All right, guys. I think this is.
Thank you very much, Professor Jang.
Okay,
Sorry
thank you very much.
for my mistake. Thank you very much. I think that Geoffrey is joining us. Geoffrey Players, the president of the International Sociological Association.
Geoffrey.
Maybe, maybe Geoffrey
joined us. Okay,
tell
Geoffrey.
something about it, the next Congress, but as well, maybe he wanna give us a welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very low.
Hello?
Yes.
No? Do you hear me? Sorry, I had some problem of connection. Well, apologies. I came in a bit late. I had some problem, but I want to say that this was really a fascinating talk. I'm so happy. And a few months ago, I was in South Korea and had the pleasure to meet Wonho. And we discussed it a bit, and all of a sudden I realized how close he was from you, the TG12, and this famous book edited by Gennaro and Sylvia, and the discussion we had. Because as you may know, I really like to advocate for bringing for emphasizing more love as such in sociology. But then it's the same for empathy. But then Wonho told me exactly what Sylvia told me a bit before in Buenos Aires. No, it's about also social love and social empathy. So there are so many common issues here. Also, there were a good journal in South Korea that Wonho used to run on this topic. So there are many things in common, and I think that this is really this talk, and I thank so much Sylvia for opening this TG12 seminar to Wonho, because this is why the ISA exists, to connect two different perspectives with a different word, but actually very similar perspective. One rules more, not only, but notably in Italy, in let's say in a Western or Latin world, and other one in South Korea. So many perspectives, and there are also some differences, I would say. I haven't thought about this connection with mass culture, which is at the same time a very interesting path and a challenge, because how much is it about empathy in mass culture? They don't connect. But then I think that Wonho was very convincing in saying that fandom is not only about a small connection, it's much stronger. And I very much like also this connection with dancing, this connectivity, empathy there. And the case of Japan, Palestine today, saying that because we share this perspective on, because we are all fan of K-pop, then we share something important, and we belong to the same humanity, which is so important between Palestinian and Israeli. When they took this picture, and definitely even more today. So that's I mean, I won't say much more, but I enjoyed it very much, and every step I remember our conversation with Wonho in Seoul, and I was telling him about TG12. So I'm so happy, and every time I lose my time in administrative issues, in discussing the budget, the venue of the Congress, I mean, that's most of my work for the ISA now, then I will remember this kind of meeting makes it worth to connect people from different continents. They have very similar perspective, and I do hope that Wonho will, I'm sure he will bring a very interesting insight in TG12, but also know that the TG12 has many things to bring to South Korean perspective on social empathy. And so great also to see Sari Anafi over here is also a former president of ISA. So thank you very much to Sylvia and TG12 for this space, and to Wonho. It was a very insightful talk. I took many notes, so I hope to see you soon to talk about that.
So thank you very much, Geoffrey, for this opportunity. I think this is the best of ISA, connecting people, ideas all around the world. So thank you, Geoffrey, because you always have in mind people, persons. And so connecting ideas needed to connect by being connected by personal relationships. So thank you very much. So I think thank you very much to Professor Jang. We had a very lot, so much stimuli, and I will leave the floor to observations, questions. So to our dialogue, we have half an hour, and I think so I will leave the floor. I have a lot of questions and observation, but I don't want to start. So I leave you the floor.
Hi, Dr. Wonho. Thank you very much. It's very interesting because I do research on popular culture in the United States. So it's a very interesting to see our community, things were similar, but then things are very different. I was very impressed, especially because how this wave can create empathy between two nations who have been crushed, you know? So I like very much that the people compromise and they create this kind of common grounds. Maybe this one was wrong, maybe this one wrong, and we agree in these things. So I'm very interested in these things, and maybe open my mind to start seeing many cultural productions also as an expression of promoting this kind of interaction between communities, you know, because we have different migrant communities. So thank you very much. It was very, very interesting to see. I immediately want to go and check who are these people just to see what they were doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sari?
Thank you so much, Wonho, for this amazing presentation. Well, recently I went through the book of Vincenzo Sicily and Sylvia October about the Korean soap opera. And what I return from this book, this capacity to be, if you like, in this consumer culture, a mediatic consumer culture, Netflix, etc., but also to subvert it. And I think your representation, I mean, I need you to tell me whether I understand your presentation well. Is also to show how this consumerist culture may generate social empathy, and you show us maybe something really it is important, that for instance this collective action. I mean, dancing in the plaza. I mean, I mean, we never say sufficiently that who can afford to go to the discotheque, to the nightclub, and maybe the Korean subculture. I mean, provide possibility that we can do it really for free in the public plaza. So here, where I think it's really important, because more and more what worry me is what Habermas called the colonization of public spheres. I mean, how the TV, I mean, everyone is confined to its TV room and watching alone. So you show that no, there is a possibility of subverting this through kind of collective actions. So tell me whether really I capture what the thrust of what you said. And of course, I'm so glad that I haven't seen Geoffrey even through the Zoom since July in Melbourne. So I wanted to say hello to him also. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so I stop here.
Thank you. Sorry. Dancing in public place or space. The photo that I shown is kind of a specific one, and usually the fandom of K-pop, they dance within a small group, such as 4 to 6 people. So especially when I visited South America, there are a lot of places which I can see they are practicing, according to the music of K-pop. So even though they are making a small groups, but I still watch some kind of collective dancings, which I believe they are building some kind of kinesthetic empathy to each other and to at least to Korean cultural contents. And in South America, they are also very positive to Korean culture, or and some of them would like to come to Korea to have some kind of experiences in that kind of Korean cultural things. So that I think that is the important example of the kinesthetic empathy. Of course, there are a lot of places which the kind of collective action in public space are limited. Yeah.
Thank you. Jay?
Good morning again from Nairobi. Dr. Jang, thank you very much for the presentation. As a Filipino, we are a country of consumers of K-pop, so I can relate to many of the examples that you've mentioned. But my question is, especially coming from my experiences outside of the Philippines, coming from Fiji also, I'm curious about the cultural roots of social empathy. I am asking, especially in your studies in the Korean context. I'm asking this because you've mentioned also the youth, and in Fiji, the problem, one of the problems with the youth is that there is no generational transmission of culture because of the youth living in urban cities and even going outside of PG for employment. So a lot of traditional values being promoted earlier in Fijian cultures are not being transmitted because of urbanization and the youth going out of Fiji. Instead, many of the demonstrations of acts of compassion, acts of kindness appeared or reappeared, especially during COVID and in the context of Fiji in response to climate change consequences. And they trace it back to their own cultural values, to their traditional values, which the youth may or may not be connected to in this generation. So again, I'm going back to my question, in the Korean context, what are the cultural roots of social empathy? Thank you.
I don't know. You know, as I told you, in Korea, you know, social empathy, the lack of social empathy is the real problem. And you know, conflict among generation, conflict between gender is the real problem. And to solve that kind of a lack of social empathy, I'd like to get some ideas from the study of Korean wave. And so that's the example is the kind of solidarity among different nations, people in terms of their fandom. And one of the ideas that Korean cultural contents is trying to show is that they are trying to show kind of universal themes. The Korean contents usually try to show the universal themes, which is characterized by feminism or the kind of a pure love or kind of a justice, which is kind of solving the inequality problem, something like that. The main reason for Korean cultural contest try to convey that kind of a theme is because they wanna sell the cultural products to worldwide, because in Korean market is so limited. So to incorporate more audiences, them trying to show the universal themes. And when you say people in Fiji try to go back to traditional values or some other things, again, what I would like to suggest is having the common, at least values or experiences in terms of the universal themes, which is also very important part of K-pop. Korean wave. So actually, in Korea also we have a very severe problem of the lack of social empathy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have also, can you, yes, may I speak? Yeah. I have also another, yes, two observations, but Jill, please. Jill Tao, Professor Jill Tao from Incheon University.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And I have worked with Terry Clark before, so I'm very familiar with the scenes approach to mapping urban areas. So it was really nice to hear some familiar names in your presentation. My question is about your research when you're looking at the people who actually produce K-drama and K-pop, and the prevalence of especially the female writers in K-drama in comparison to the West, where you said only 35% are female. So I was wondering, because this came up in the last answer that you were giving, how much of that you think is due to the market for these things? Because as you mentioned, the market for consumption is largely female. And so if I were a smart producer, I would probably be looking to women to produce a product that would be more attractive to the female market. And in that case, is it something that can translate across borders more easily because it's related to this undercurrent of gender? And to go back to one of the questions that was asked by a previous person, to what extent can this be subversive to a larger order of patriarchy?
Mm. Yeah, in terms of the market, maybe kind of a co-influence on the intentions of making the female universalistic drama by female writers. So as I told you, the market matters in capitalist society, and maybe there are a lot of reasons why they should show this kind of female universalistic contents for the market. That should be studied more in details, especially in Korea. Maybe in terms of the producers, kind of intention or decisions, not by the writer's intention or decisions, something like that. There is we have to pursue. I mean, we have to study more in details. But still, I think this specific phenomena by the predominantly written Korean drama by female writers is a very special phenomenon, I think. And of course, I have to explain why in Korea or rather than in Western countries, something like that. But I would like to now I'm thinking connecting that kind of thing with the kind of fast development of Korean society, or a kind of a competition, hyper competition of the Korean society, where the Korean female writers should find their niches or something like that. But there should be more the topic we have to conduct the research from now on. But so far, I show some kind of a phenomena, and I try to explain that specific phenomena by using the concept of melancholia in Korean society with a very strong patriarchal, historical, experiences, and the result is their kind of a creative suggestion of the better society, which is having the female initiatives, and that's I think their messages, and that their messages maybe kind of happen to fit with all the audiences in the world who are also having that kind of melancholia. So until now, that is my understanding. Thank you, Jill.
I would like to thank you. And yes, I was in reality, I was really impressed by this thing that studying how the Korean wave could be a vehicle of social empathy, because in my mind it wasn't so clear. For example, in my mind it was like other trends, like other fashion trends, like a homogenizing wave, and also massification wave. So it's interesting how we can study more deeply these phenomena as opportunities of social cohesion, and opportunities to experience others, having the experience of others, bringing bridges, and so on. So it is interesting, this way of thinking, and I think it is the connection with our concepts. So wearing these glasses these glasses of looking at the social reality, of course, in a critical way, but at the same time, in this critical way, also discovering the possibilities of bridges and interconnections. And so it's very interesting. And then another common point with also, we have a lot of points, but however, another common points, it is not so, this is an epistemological, we can say, common point, but there is another one, which is a content point, because empathy, I think that empathy as well has been privatized, like other phenomena that we have in social reality. For example, love, gift, love has been privatized at the intimate dimension with partners or in families, not so much, but however. And a gift, for example, has been privatized as well only at the friendship dimension, friendship interconnections and networks, for example. And I think empathy has been privatized as well. In this interpersonal, only in the interpersonal level, it has been privatized and sometimes considered as a soft skill, only like something which is very fashionable and also useful for the market, for professions. It is important, of course, but if we see only this dimension, we don't grasp this positive and in the sense of being a bridge between not only individuals, but also groups, and also this powerful possibility of building bridges and among inequalities, and also in this kind of field, which is very important. And so sometimes empathy is becoming only yes, an instrumental soft skill for someone, and so on. So it's important this point. And two questions related to this. The first one is if you can explain a little more something about your process of defining this concept of defining the concept of social empathy and the connection with Segal's work, because you are saying Segal says these things, but I have some differences. I would like to focus on some points, and I think it's important. For example, this topic of connecting social empathy and the inequalities, it's very important. I think it could be yours, but I don't know, I'm asking to you. And also another point could be, how can we move from empathy and social empathy to action? Because, for example, we are in this group, our difference, we are strictly interconnected with, for example, Guji 8, which is on emotions. But we are convinced that love is not an emotion, not only emotion in the sense that it moves something, but it is an action. And so, as well, for example, in our studies, we had a collection of case studies, empathy, but we didn't take in account so much in account. It is a critical point, the difference between interpersonal empathy and social empathy. So sorry for this. In the next path we can do it. But however, empathy in the results can be considered as an antecedent of social love, on the public dimension of love, of course, and social love. And so what do you think can be an antecedent? How can we move from empathy in your studies, moving from empathy to action? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvia. First of all, regarding the Elizabeth Seeger's position to the social empathy, she make a kind of a survey and develop a kind of index about the social empathy index, and which is good try, I guess. But surveying the kind of social empathy, she's surveying some kind of ideas and concepts based on the survey, not the real actions or I think the real situations. So this I don't get the her idea about having the kind of a social empathy index in Korea, something like that. Rather than that, I try to pursue kind of more realistic evidences showing the social empathy among different nationalities or among different groups in terms of the consuming cultural contents. So there's a difference between me, myself, and Elizabeth Seeger's, pursuit of the social empathy, pursuit of social empathy. And you're saying that how to move from empathy to action. And when you define the empathy also include some kind of action too, not only the feeling but also the understanding. Also taking some position with others, standing on with others, others, or more acting for the purpose of others, something like that. That is a very important thing. And so first of all, I have some evidence about the fandom's action toward other groups, which is as I told you, Korean Japanese fandoms, understanding and action to help each other. When BTS, there's a story about the BTS to come to Japan, and some conservative people kind of criticize BTS in terms of what a member of the BTS wears, and the fandom of Japanese fandom says that that's not a good response to kind of a cultural communication and cultural collaboration things, and they try to turn down the conservative argument about the BTS's in terms of their political orientation. So that kind of action could be considered fandom fandom make a kind of action toward mutual understanding. So that is the one example. But still, I have a kind of a what to say, feeling of depressed feeling that even though I'm working on the social empathy, I'm thinking that it could be really, really difficult in Korea or in the world these days, where Sari says this kind of a crazy situations happen, in the world. So I'm feeling very much depressed. But I try to work, because without working, without proposing this kind of things, the situation will become worse and worse. Will become worse and worse. So that's why I try to continue to propose the social empathy and some kind of an understanding among people, something like that. So yeah, that's the step you have to do. And to do so, I'm trying to find out some kind of evidences and some situations and phenomena showing the actions of the fandom to pursue the collaboration and mutual understanding of different people, different nations people.
We like too much this kind of engaged research. So thank you very much.
Okay,
Jill.
thank you.
I don't know if I was up before Carlos or not. This was a question that came up for me when I was listening to your presentation before, but when Sylvia was talking about the privatization of empathy, it popped up again. I think I share your not despair, I would call it, but I would say worry that the lack of empathy or the sort of going out of fashion of empathy, I would call it, seems to be very prevalent these days. And so the question of action is a big one, I think, for this, for what the group has been discussing. But the idea that empathy has been sort of transactionalized, it's been made into something that becomes part of a capitalist system where you use it to achieve a particular end rather than what its sort of human component is, I think is troubling. And along those lines, I also find it troubling when it gets used for maybe not empathy, but it gets tamped down as something that should not be expressed for political purposes. And I would say you've mentioned a few times the gender gap in South Korea. I think especially during the last presidential election, it was definitely, there was mobilization of bias in the population. And that was partly why the election was as split as it was. And to go back to your example of the link between action and Hallyu, the Korean wave, of course, there were the examples during the 2020 campaign in the United States when BTS fans were trolling Donald Trump in his rallies. They were buying up tickets so that he would think more people were showing up than actually were showing up. So there are definitely examples of ways in which these groups feel some kind of unity across different boundaries, different social structures, different types of restrictions, and those have really intense consequences. But I think if we don't discuss the way in which such actions can become politicized in a very, as Sylvia was saying, utilitarian way, it sort of undercuts the whole idea of what empathy is supposed to be.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you.
May I collect all the last interventions? So Geoffrey, and then Fabrizio, and then William.
Yes, can you hear me? Thank you for this very interesting debate. And I would like to come back because it is something I've been thinking for a while now when I listen to Wonho in Korea and having your work, the TG12 in mind. The fact that there are so many similar debates and proposals between social empathy and social love. So, of course, it is not the same. And I agree with Sylvia. I mean, I would be very interested in a deeper reflection on what is common, not only to build bridges, but also because I do believe that these debates help us to understand each of the perspectives that in my mind are very similar. Notably when you read about the path from love to social love, empathy to social empathy, and I would say likewise for this very important debate on how much it's this, if I take Sari and Habermas' words, how the Lebenswelt from Habermas is taken over by the system, which is actually what we discuss here, how it can be taken by in a capitalist, let's say, utilitarian perspective. On that, I would say that, and just to end on that, I think between social empathy, social love, there's so many connections. It is deeply personal and collective. Of course, it may be different, and as Sylvia suggested, empathy may be an antecedent to social love. Let's discuss that. Maybe another concept here would also be care. How do you put care there between social empathy, care, love? But going back to the market, I'm on this point, I'm not sure I totally agree with the debate. It all depends how we define empathy or love, but let's say empathy today. Yes, there is a soft part of social empathy that can be bring into the market relation utilitarianism consideration to show consideration, to be polite, all these things. But as it was defined by Wonho and by the Segel and people who he mentioned, this is not empathy. Empathy is the capacity, the will, the process to be affected by the others. What happened to the other affects me directly. And I would say this is a deeply anti-capitalist, anti-utilitarian value that you can test. If it is empathy, you cannot totally bring it in capitalism. This is not only the small interstice spaces of resistance that are built there, but it is a totally opposed value to capitalism. I don't say in every implementation, but if it is really about empathy, if you consider, if you agree to be affected by what happened to the other, which is empathy, which is, I would also probably say, social love, then it cannot be, it is against the reduction of reality to utilitarian relationship, which is exactly what I found most interesting in the social love perspective. It's, you cannot, if it is, you can have some like a derivation, some almost fake empathy or something that it's taken out of that. It looks like empathy, but if it is about empathy, then it is opposed to the things that they show us every day on TV, that we are all different, that we should not, that these people are human, these are not human, that capitalists, you don't care about who produce it because you don't care about the people. No, if it's empathy, you cannot limit that social love, social empathy. You cannot put it in a box of utilitarian relationship. It is precisely what destroys this box. And so, you know, it's not really a question, but I would say, yes, something can be taken over in capitalist utilitarian relationship, but this something, I would not call it empathy or social love or social empathy.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. Fabrizio?
Hi everybody. Thank you, Professor Jang, for your interesting presentation. Your presentation make me mind, how can I say, an example of what happened just 2 days ago at Sapienza, something that we can, I think, we can call a case of missed empathy. Just 2 days ago at Sapienza, the president of the Italian Republic has come to have a kind of interaction, discussion with students protesting for what's happening in Gaza. But I think that what really happened, we can define a case of missed empathy, because the two parts have no chance to meet each other, to get in contact. And I think that maybe a kind of necessary condition to empathy is the contact. So, the two parts make each of the part a declaration, but there was no dialogue. And as listening to you, as far as understood what you say, I think that we can define this a case of missed empathy. Maybe we can understand the reason, because I think that the Sapienza administration has fear of consequence, of problems, of forecastable problems about the meeting, the contact. But I think that we reason in this way. So to prevent forecastable problem, we also prevent unforecastable good things, something like empathy. And so maybe one point I want to share with you is that a real process of empathy is also a real process to open to uncertainty, to unforecastable, to be engaged in a real process of empathy is to take into account that after the empathy you will be a different actor before entering the empathy process. I think that this is an important point, also reflecting about what happened when we shift from individual to social and institutional level. So maybe this how can I say, the openness to uncertainty is a kind of question, an issue, very delicate, very complex for institutional actors, because they have to manage complexity, responsibility. So I think that I think that when you speak about social empathy, this could be a good point. How can institutional actors, political, social, institutional actors, can manage with the intrinsic uncertainty of a real empathy process? I don't know what you think about.
Thank you very much. The last observation by William, and we have to close after because Professor Jang has a lot of things to do because it's Saturday evening. And I know in Korea it's important.
I don't know, did he want to respond to Fabrizio? No? Okay. No, thank you very much. No, I think there is so much to talk about it, and we're looking forward when we get to Korea to know each other and to engage more directly with the context. Few things that are interesting for me, and I was really like this comment by Jill Tao in terms of the presence of women. It made me think, what if that means also if we can see the present not just by numbers, but also if it's translated in their salaries. Because it may be capitalist reaction that is cheap labor. So I pay a male and I get 5 women. So you say, oh, they have, so we need to figure out the correlationship between centralization of wealth and is that really producing quality of life for these individuals. But I like that at one point you hinge a little bit when you say the production of content, so that may be something interesting to see. And also how many of them became recurring directors, that not just one time, so because once you hit a program and then you have a program and you became a hit, then your salary will go up. So Netflix needs to make a decision if I rehire the individual who is going to be more expensive now than before. So I think that will be something interesting. The other thing for me, at one point I would love to hear a little bit more, what do you mean with kinesiology empathy? What it that means in the kind of sense of going physically, putting your body in the in the fight, what that means to. I said that one because we in the United States have been always perceive many of these cultural productions, music and things, as an essential of this revolution and liberatory movement, especially for communities who do not have access to mainstream. So if your histories are not in the curriculum, you will use everyday stories and jokes and tattoos and and music to bring your story. So the famous concept of this kind of hidden transcript that African American slaves had used in gospel music, for example. So I think that one will be something for me interesting to see how we can see this imagination of a different society within those movements, especially during the youth movement, because especially the camps that we see in the different universities right now, they all have music all the time reacting, and when the police come, they put in music, just to react to this kind of thing. So thank you very much.
Gennaro,
Okay.
because maybe Gennaro wanna
Okay.
talk. Gennaro?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I'm driving, and thank you very much for this speech. I want to suggest for you. I think that the empathy is the base for to build, for to have a social relation, but every behavior has this antecedent in the empathy. For example, the homicide or the sadist has this possibility to empathy with the victims, because the sadist has the goal to produce suffering in the other. And when we think the love is important, the empathy, because the empathy is the necessary condition for to every behavior, and to love too. I think this is the difference. The love is a specific behavior. The empathy is always the presuppose of behavior, but behavior can be positive or negative in the relation with the others. What do you think about this suggestion? Thank you very much, and sorry because I'm traveling, and different time I can't to listening very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jang. So a conclusive remark, collecting every, but it's very, thank you very much, because it was so much stimulating, so a real dialogue. Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Your comments, and I can answer the some comments by the Fabrizio, and who made a very good suggestion. I mean, comments about the institutionalized limit of the empathy, something like that. It's very important thing for us to pursue. But I agree with Jeffrey that also the empathy is kind of precedent. I mean, antecedent to social love or other things, which I should pursue more in developing the concept of empathy. But Jeffrey's comment about the importance of social empathy and social love in terms of the anti-capitalistic values, or anti inequality, or anti let's just say the no solidarity values, something like that. I think that's why we have to pursue the concept, even though it is the initial period of the developing the concept, but maybe we can develop the concept a little more sophisticated in terms of the process from empathy to action. Even though I include the empathy in the definition of empathy, the actions too, but actually empathy is generalized by kind of knowing and feeling and understanding things. So the kind of processes we have to pursue from now on, and that's why I'm trying to as a final comment, I'm trying to propose a kind of a research proposal to Korea Research Foundation this month, and as a kind of a international collaboration with you guys. If you guys permit, I'd like to ask Sylvia to include your names as a kind of international, co-researcher, something like that, so that I can have more chance to have you guys to make a kind of a academic collaboration with you guys. So that's what I'd like to ask you guys and Sylvia before I close my my final comments. Is it good?
Yes. We would be.
And I'd like to include Jeffrey too. Jeffrey, do you agree with me, Jeffrey? And Sari too. Sari, is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pleasure.
And
Pleasure.
I think I have to go now.
Ciao. Bye.
So thank you very much. We can close with this. We don't close, we open other streets and other paths together. So thank you very much. we are waiting for you. We are looking forward to meeting you here in Rome. I think Gilda will come. Wonho, if you want to come, you are. We are.
Jill, when you come?
Yes, we are really.
Next month.
Happy. Yes, next month Jill will come, and then we will meet.
I can't wait more.
Yeah. We can meet at the forum, at the ISA forum, which will be in Morocco before together. Of course, we will do something together. The call for session is open, so we will, of course, suggest something together. So let's meet each other online and then in Morocco. Okay, thank you very much.
Ciao. Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bye.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye, bye.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks so much.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao, everybody.